before we start fixing brightness, exposure, or even contrast for our images, we need to really understand what is exposure. And here's, for example, we have an image with three different exposures. We have standard exposure, and if you have a DSLR camera, you can see that exposure setting in your camera. If you have the right exposure settings for your camera, you will be having settings like that. Or if you have a lower exposure settings, you will be having a dim image like that one on left, and a higher exposure setting will be looking like that one on right. Here's also another example for different exposure settings. Here we have overexposure settings, and we have correct exposure settings in the center, and we have underexposure settings on left. And there are three major elements for affecting exposure, or how exposure works. If you're shooting your images using a professional camera, light will be passing through your camera's lens, and it will be affected by aperture, which is also controlling your depth of field and your shutter speed as well. And the third factor will be your camera sensor, which is controlled by ISO within your camera. The lower your ISO, the lower sensitivity will be for your sensor. And in order to be able to fix your images within Adobe Photoshop, or even take great images with your camera, you need to be able to read your images histogram, which is really easy, and we're going to be seeing that within our example. So here within that histogram, we have luminance value against pixel value. And here we have pure black values or black point. And here on the very right, we have pure white values. So even to make it simpler for you guys, here we have mid shadows or mid tones, and we have white values and black values. Okay, so white on right and black on left. And here we have an example for underexposed image. We have high black values. However, we have clipped white area. We call it clipped white area, or we don't have any white values within our image. And this is an example for overexposed image. We have high values for our white, and we don't have any values for black in here. And this one will be resembling a high contrast image with very high values in white and black, and we have relatively low values on mid tones. So anyway, let's dive into an example, and you will be getting that one very easily, guys.